On October 21st, a Florida woman was taken into custody for allegedly driving at a fast pace while intoxicated. Brittany Bianchi, 31, was reportedly stopped by police for exceeding the speed limit by 120 miles per hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. She allegedly used her fingernails to strike a Florida Highway Patrol trooper during the traffic encounter. According to FHP, the incident happened at St. Petersburg at about 8:30 p.m. Brittany is accused of racing a Mercedes past a trooper on the Grande Bridge. She allegedly turned violent and dug her fingernails into the trooper's hands when the trooper attempted to arrest her for driving while intoxicated. According to FHP, Brittany has committed 3 DUIs in the last 10 years. Brittany was also charged with possession of marijuana, possession drug paraphernalia, battery on law enforcement, speeding, and not having insurance following the incident on Saturday. She allegedly dug her fingernails into the hand of the Florida Highway Patrol trooper during the traffic stop, and the interaction turned violent, according to the Highway Patrol. In the video the FBI released of the traffic stop, Brittany was heard yelling, swearing, calling troopers names, and saying that the charges would not stand up in court. After being brought to the Pinellas County Jail, her bond was set at $17,800 based on online records. The next morning, she was set free. The Florida lady who was detained on October 21st for DUI is seen on dashcam footage, cursing at police and having a tantrum. The Florida Highway Patrol stopped Brittany for reportedly speeding in her Mercedes at 120 miles per hour. After being charged with driving under the influence, the 31-year-old started yelling at the cops.
Excuse me, I can't hear you. I don't understand what you're saying. You're not listening. I can't hear you. But you're not listening to me. I'm a civilian. It's your right to protect the civilians.
The woman, who gave off the impression of being combative, asked, "You understand that I'm wearing heels?" before denying undergoing sobriety test. There's no evidence that I was drinking. After that, Brittany started berating the arresting trooper, calling him a f***ing pig, and implying that his spouse was having an extramarital affair. She was charged with DUI for the 3rd time in 10 years, in addition to a long list of other offenses such as possessing marijuana, using drug paraphernalia, battery police enforcement, being a habitual traffic offender, speeding, and not having insurance. She drove more than double the speed limit and was stopped by an officer who then attacked her. Brittany, 31, was detained according to police after troopers saw her speeding on the Grande Bridge at 8:30 p.m., hitting up 120 miles per hour in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. Troopers said Brittany had bloodshot and watery eyes, an alcoholic stench, and slurred speech when she pulled her car over. Brittany was arrested on a DUI allegation after it was discovered in an arrest affidavit that she had previously been found guilty of DUI twice. During their ride in the rear of the patrol cruiser, Brittany turned very argumentative and resistive, yelling insults at the trooper via the partition glass. The trooper tried to close the window, but Brianna stuck her hand up to stop it and sank her fingernails into his hand, making him bleed. According to the arrest report, Brittany attempted to reach through the window and take the trooper's rifle, which is why more law enforcement personnel had to become involved. Brittany was accused of driving under the influence, possessing drug paraphernalia, possessing marijuana, violently resisting police, and assaulting a law enforcement official. What's the punishment for DUI as a Florida law? DUI is illegal in the state of Florida. The impairment of normal faculties or an illegal blood alcohol content or breath alcohol level of 0.08 or higher serves as proof of the offense. For those who have had their first conviction, the following information is applicable. Should this be your initial conviction, the penalties would range from $500 to $2,000. The fine will range from $2,000 to $4,000 if you have a minor in your car or your blood alcohol content is 15 or above. If this is your first conviction, you'll be subject to an extra $10 fine for each hour of community service that is required, or you'll be compelled to perform 50 hours of community service. The total amount of probation and jail time for first offense cannot exceed a year. The court has the power to impose imprisonment. Sentencing terms can be applied to the length of incarceration by serving them in a residential program for drug or alcohol misuse treatment. You'll be sentenced to no more than 6 months for the first offense. If there was a minor in the car or if your blood alcohol content was 15 or over, you would be sentenced to no more than 9 months. According to Florida law, a third-degree felony, punishable up to $5,000 fine and 5 years in Florida State Prison, can be brought against anyone found guilty of a DUI crime within 10 years of the previous conviction. The prosecutor might not be able to support one of the earlier convictions in a lot of these situations. If this is the case, the felony DUI charge can be dropped to a misdemeanor. In the felony version, the court must impose a minimum required term of at least 30 days of imprisonment if the third DUI conviction happened within 10 years of the previous conviction. The confinement period must be consecutive for at least 48 hours. The highest statutory sentence for the third-degree felony that the court can impose is 5 years in Florida State Prison. According to Florida Statute Section 316.193, the court must impose a special probationary condition for a third conviction within 10 years of the previous one, which requires the vehicle to be immobilized for at least 90 days and cannot coincide with any incarceration. This is known as the period of impoundment or immobilization of the vehicle. If a family member lacks access to another car, or if any of the defendant's vehicles are driven exclusively by employees, the court may decide to ignore this requirement. Drinking under the influence is a major problem in the USA, and certain states are notorious for the high DUI cases. When it comes to occurrence involving drunk drivers, last year was the safest on record since 1982, when the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration started keeping track of these deaths. Still, over 25% of traffic deaths are related to alcohol impairment, even with a 5.3% decline in this category. This indicates that 10,142 Americans died in drunk driving accidents on the roads in 2019. Drunk driving deaths are the most avoidable traffic-related deaths. Nonetheless, the number of Americans driving while intoxicated keeps rising along with alcohol consumption rates. Preliminary data suggests that during the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, binge drinking rates also increased. The NHTSA reports that Wyoming leads the country in the number of drunk driving deaths per 100,000 residents. The state lacks drunk driving rules, and lack of sobriety checkpoints are criticized by many. Despite Wyoming's lower population and considerably broader area, alcohol-impaired driving incidents claimed 36 lives in Wyoming in 2019. The number is 6 times higher than the total numbers of deaths reported in the District of Columbia. North Dakota, which is also renowned for having loose driving rules, was the state with the highest number of DUI arrests per capita in 2019, making it a hotspot for occurrences involving drunk driving. Against a population of 762,062, the state recorded 4,827 arrests for driving under the influence in just the previous year. Although various forms of driving while intoxicated violations are taken into consideration in FBI crime data about DUI arrests, drunk driving still poses a significant threat to safer roadways in North Dakota. The neighbor to the west of North Dakota similarly has a high rate of arrests and fatalities from drunk driving. According to Mothers Against Drunk Driving, Montana is among the states that tolerate drunk driving the most dangerously. And the state's 66 fatalities from the previous year made it the second highest in the nation. Idaho's new ignition interlock regulations, which target first-time drunk drivers, were insufficient to keep the state off the list of the most hazardous in the country this year. The state rose to the 4th spot in the rankings, partially because of its high arrest rate for DUI. 442 per 100,000 persons. Moving away from the western and midwestern region into the Atlantic Northeast, Maine had the nation's 5th highest rate of drunk driving incidents. Maine has the high death rate of an even higher arrest rate of DUIs, nearly 5,500 in 2019, relative to its 1.3 million person population. Its lone direct border with the most inebriated state in the Union, New Hampshire, is shared by this state. That's all for now. For more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.